Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Bedomy and this is Blacksad Under the Skin, a 3D adventure game developed by Pendulo Studios and published by Microids. And if I'm mispronouncing those two names, I do apologize, but Spanish and French are not my native languages and I never studied them, so make do with what you make of that what you will. But yeah, I am gonna butcher their names. I'm gonna butcher Spanish and French names most of the time. Anyway, what is Under the Skin? It is an adaptation of the comic book series Blacksad that was created by Juan Diaz Carnales and Juano Guarnido. I really hope I pronounced their names right because these two are very phenomenal authors. Yeah. Both Guarnido and Carnales are very talented artists when it comes to comic books, and Blacksad is probably their biggest achievement as of yet. It's a small, it's not a big franchise like Marvel or DC or even 2000 AD, whom you might know as the creators of Strontium Dogs, Judge Dredd, and ABC Warriors. Those are great comics. I would recommend that you read them if you have the chance. But I'm getting sidetracked. Blacksad is it's a relatively speaking small but a very well-written and popular comic book series created by Guarnido and Canales. It follows a private detective, John Blacksad, as the title suggests, as he investigates crime syndicates and affairs of his clients. Depending on the story, at one point he can be investigating an affair of his client's wife and stumble into a big smuggling ring. Or he can investigate a murder of a dear friend and discover a full-blown government conspiracy. Those are just some examples. You'll have to read the stories for yourself to see what I'm talking about. But just to give you the context, Blacksad is a series of Detective-Noir stories. They're well-written, well-drawn, and very atmospheric stories. And you will love them because of it. It's a very unique universe. Well, it's not a unique universe. It's a sort of alternate history, but instead of humans, you have anthropomorphic characters, which are humanoid aliens. For those of you unfamiliar with the term. And here's the interesting thing about the Blacksad universe. Every animal reflects a certain personality type. So lizards, pigs, and roosters will be CEOs, politicians, and people, and generally speaking, people with high authority, because, well, you kind of associate those guys with certain aspects of power. A rooster likes to strut around, yell a lot, and parades like he's the boss. The CEOs are cold-blooded like lizards, and pigs are, well, I don't have to paint you a picture for that one. And also, dogs are usually representatives of law and order, so most police officers and investigators are, well, canine species of some sort. You can have a fox detective, or a German shepherd police commissioner, and stuff like that. And for its first outing into video game format, Blacksad really doesn't disappoint. It's a very good adaptation of the comic book series as a whole. It has its own narrative. All the characters that we know and love from the stories are present in some form or another. Blacksad is primarily, you're playing as Blacksad, so he's the default character you'll be seeing a lot, and some of his friends and confidants will also appear throughout the course of the story. That's the positive thing I have to say for now, but there are some things I really hate about this game, and we'll start off with the options menu first and foremost. So for starters, let's take a look at the settings, or the options menu, if you would call it. As you can see, this is all we get from the options menu. The control settings, where you can where you can see the list of the control methods of the controller or the keyboard. They're just listed. You cannot rebind anything. You can just look at it, memorize it, and get on with your life. Granted, this is all nicely put in, so you can move the character with WSD, move the camera with the key cursors. I also forgot what they're named in English. Arrow keys. My brain kind of went out for a moment, but unfortunately, you cannot play with the mouse on this one. You're only bound to a keyboard. And to make matters even worse, if you have a controller plugged into the PC, the game will automatically choose the controller for you. And you cannot turn this off in any way, shape, or form. You can just turn off the controller vibration in the advanced settings, and that's about it. If the controller is plugged in, the game will automatically ignore the keyboard, and no matter what you do, you'll have to, you can turn off the game by Alt-tabbing or Alt-F4, and unplug the controller, and after that, you can play with the keyboard, and only the keyboard, so that's really frustrating for me. I honestly wish that TellTale didn't do this when, I'm getting too ahead of myself, but you'll see what I mean when we get to the gameplay itself. For now, let's just keep this in mind. All the controls are set in stone and they cannot be rebound, and the game will automatically choose the controller if it's plugged in. So if you want to play with a keyboard, you'll have to turn off the game, unplug the controller, and restart the game entirely. And those are the basic settings. The advanced settings will allow you to adjust the sensitivity of the controller and turn the vibration on or off. And the advanced settings too will just let you adjust the dead zone of the stick for the controller again. So all the controls for the keyboard are basically put in the basic settings, which is really frustrating for me, because this could have been one awesome game, awesome adaptation of a very good comic book series. On video side of things, you have basic settings, which allow you to choose the resolution and the overall quality of the graphical presets. On basic settings too, you get contrast adjustments, which is the brightness of you can modify the brightness of the screen for your own personal preference. Yes, I want this brightness. So if you want to adjust anything of the graphics, you'll have to go to the advanced settings and choose your aspect ratio, resolution, display mode, anti-aliasing, vertical sync, texture quality, and such. And as for the advanced settings too, you'll also get a choice between fog, bloom, MSAA, anisotropic filters, and reflection qualities. But if you're too lazy to do anything of that, just go to the basic settings one and put the general quality ultra. That should put everything to the maximum. That should crank up all of these settings to the maximum immediately. Audio side of things, it's limited. You only have the basic settings, which allow you to adjust the music, special effects volume, and voice volume to your own personal preference, and afterwards you can test them out with the sound test.
Sometimes when I walk into my office, I get the feeling that I'm walking among the ruins of a lost civilization.
As you heard, the sound settings are, not the settings, but the actual in-game music and sounds and voice acting are all superb. So far, throughout my several hours of play, I'm not sure how long I played this, but I'm pretty sure I'm past the 50% mark at this point. I think I'm around 60-70% done with the game, so I think this is a good place to do a rookie review. I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, as I was saying, audio settings are limited. Gameplay options are, it's just one simple question. Do you want hints on how to play the game? That's it. Do you want to turn off the tutorials or not? And as for the language, you can choose between the spoken language of the characters and the subtitled text. And I would recommend that you keep the subtitles on. And honestly, yeah, it's a pretty lackluster. It's a pretty lackluster options menu, if you ask me. So with the options gone, we can actually start the game. Or tell you what, I'm gonna show you something that's it's a side feature, but if you're interested in side content for the game, this is the only thing you'll get. It's the sports almanac or the Hall of Fame, where you collect where you paste your collected cards you come across in the game world. Damn it. As you can see, I collected quite a few of them. And there are 4 categories, ranging from American football, baseball, boxing, and hockey. These do not affect the gameplay in any way, shape, or form. These are just collectibles that are meant to encourage you to explore the in-game world as you progress through the story. There's quite a lot of them, not gonna lie, but there is one interesting thing about them. They're all nicely drawn by Guarnita and Canales. They really outdone themselves on this one. Granted, I don't think those two were involved as consultants for the story and the visual presentation they were involved as consultants. So this might have been drawn by another artist. But as you can see, the 2D presentation of the world, and at least the cards, it's wonderful. And that's kind of a shame. Well, you'll see in a couple of moments, I think. There is a big shame because this game should have been a 2D game, in my opinion. As 3D graphics for this one are painful to watch, to put it mildly. I am deeply insulted by what I... Well, it's not insulted, it's mostly... it's painful to watch, the 3D graphics in this game. The game world is nice to look at and everything, but the in-game characters are... Oh god. They're so... This is so wrong. And anyway, as you can see, this is a unique feature of the let's say the loading screen, to put it mildly. As you progress through the story, you'll get the game will save at certain checkpoints, and once you finish every chapter, you'll get a small comic page that summarizes all of your, well, not all of your, but summarizes the situation you were in. And if you want to revisit every chapter, you just flip through the pages and choose the chapter you want to go in. And you'll also get some tidbits of Blacksad's inner monologues throughout the comics. So for now, I'm gonna reload this save because it demonstrates all the gameplay mechanics for us. And I don't want to spoil the story too much. This is a pretty big reveal, all things considered, but I did make some choices that got an NPC character killed, not the story character you saw just now. So someone else got killed, and not the story character, not the important story character. This was just an NPC. And while we wait for that, you can see one of the bigger issues of the game. It's the loading screens. They take forever. And I put this game on an SSD to lower the loading times, so you can imagine how long it will take on a hard drive.
It was like this when I got here.
So welcome to Blacksad. This is pretty much a
Did
TellTale
you touch
ripoff,
or
I'm not
move
gonna
anything
lie.
in here?
Only the phone.
Good. Calm down. I'll take care of this.
So as you can see, the animation is somewhat limited. Facial animations, the character models look like, well, they look humanoid, but they resemble, I don't know, I'm not sure what to call them, but humans, anthropomorphic is an understatement, I'm not gonna lie, with these, I want to say gimp suits at this point, but as you can see, the mammal characters really look horrible. There are no fur details apart from the fur on the ears. In case of Blacksad, the hair on our client is... It just seems like it's a doll with a hair attachment put on her, or a wig. And yeah, I'm not too keen on this visual presentation when it comes to character models. The reptilian characters and avian characters with feathers look better detailed than actual mammal characters. That's what I'm trying to say. Graphically speaking, this looks hideous. It doesn't look like fur. It looks like a gimp suit with poorly made fur, the plastic fur attachments glued to it. To put it mildly, it really looks disgusting, and not to mention the animation itself. It's kind of limited. As you saw, Blacksad's facial animations weren't very expressive, and he always has this scowl on him, or this smug look on his face. They're real. Oh, there's a small change now. He looks annoyed. But yeah, he looks like he has there's a big flagpole stuck up his rear end at this point. Yeah, it's just the animations are limited, not gonna lie. And here's something and that's one of the main problems I have with the game. The 3D models, Blacksad really doesn't work in 3D. At least not at this level. If it was TellTale games that worked on this, we might have gotten another Wolf Among Us with the level of graphics. And well, TellTale also has their problems with graphical presentation sometimes with bugs and whatnot. But yeah, with a cel shaded graphic style, this game would look a lot better. With a TellTale's engine, maybe, or Unreal. This is all made in Unity, so I'm not saying that Unity is a bad engine. There are some great games that were created through the usage of Unity engine, but this game is not one of them. If it was a 2D point-and-click, a traditional 2D point-and-click adventure, this would have been amazing. But as it is, we have a gimp suit in an overcoat that's walking with a stick up its rear end. I know I'm repeating myself, but honestly, that's the only thing that's passing through my mind right now as I'm watching him walk. And also, let's switch our mind from the animation. Let's just look at the game world we're presented with. World-wise, the game really does look amazing. All the character models, when stationary, look pretty well defined and everything, but once you walk towards something, you'll notice that there's usually an invisible wall there, or a clipping issue. I'm gonna lower the camera a bit so you can see it. So I'm either gonna clip through the trash can, or I'm gonna just walk into it and slide to the side from it. That honestly isn't too much of a problem for me personally, but I think it's unnecessary. in my book. I know this is a heavy story-focused game. And things have to be in a specific order. Have to be done in a specific order, or and things have to be put in a specific place. But kind of wish that there was a bit more. Either how do I put it? I really wish this was a traditional point-and-click adventure where Blacksad could just couldn't just walk around freely, where he would have to follow a specific path in order to get towards something. And things would probably be a lot easier to pick up or interact with because of the controls. Just observe this. I have to be at a specific. I usually have to be pixel perfect with the mouse and keyboard. Well, I get to be precision perfect with a mouse and keyboard in these types of games when I can use the mouse, but this game will only allow me to play with a keyboard. So yeah, the controls are really I'm not a big fan of their control scheme. I can navigate the camera with the arrow keys, which is okay on occasion, but if I want to get somewhere quickly or get towards something specific, I have to be pixel perfect and position myself correctly in order to enable the interaction with the said object. So as you can see, I'm just gonna interact with some of these objects.
Had you already finished looking through these papers?
I wish.
Well, I guess you'll enjoy sorting all this again.
So yeah, control-wise, I'm not a big fan of this. It makes sense. It makes sense on a narrative scale that Blacksad would investigate all of this, and I'm not even sure what to say at this point. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of the control scheme.
Bingo.
What is it?
Nothing. Just a freshly signed contract.
Anyway, yeah, as you can see, this whole office has been rearranged quite a bit by a burglar, so it might help. You might think that moving around and just brushing yourself against everything in the area could show you some interactables, which is pretty accurate, but it takes time and it's really annoying, and I really wish that a mouse was implemented and that I could just click on specific piles to investigate them. As it is, I'm stuck with roaming around an office looking for a transparent X that will only appear when I'm close enough to an object to either kick it over or step on it. It's not a good. It might work on a console, but on the PC you have a mouse and keyboard at your disposal. Use them, Pendulo Studios. As it is, this game is yeah, I'm not sure what to call it at this point, but it's
What are you doing?
Do you like sardines?
Excuse me?
Do you like sardines?
Ugh.
Yeah, I just enjoyed the somewhat wooden animations a bit more, but this does provide us with a good demonstration of the audio in the game. Audio design altogether is very well made. The music set is perfect for the music really isn't randomized. Every scene, every situation has its own theme that will loop for a couple of I'm not gonna say seconds, but every situation has a small theme that loops every few seconds once it's done, so you can always set the proper mood for yourself. The interactions that you have with the environment are have nice audio cues. Footsteps, for example, the sound of a punch or a fist connecting to the doorway, stuff like that. It really immerses you when it comes to audio. And the voice acting is really top notch. The voice for Blacksad was it's honestly perfect. That's how you would imagine well, he is hard-boiled detective. He is a somewhat hard-boiled detective, all things considered. But considering that this is a somewhat parallel universe to our own when it comes to history, this period-wise, this game is set after between the events between the Second World War and the Cold War. So John is a war veteran, all things well mildly. Yeah, he is a war veteran, to put it simply, and he's been through a lot of stuff. And the voice actor chosen for him really plays him, gives you a good mixture of an intelligent and composed human being that's been through a lot, but he didn't allow himself to be broken by the events that occurred in his life. That's all I'm trying to say. The voice acting is really top notch for every character, and they sound appropriate for their appearance as well as their
Not that I
backgrounds.
suspected otherwise, but it's obvious they weren't looking for money.
Also, the writing is also top notch. The characters are all memorable and usually likable, or dislikable depending on the character. So yeah, I really do like there are some elements in the game that I really do like. The visual presentation when it's with just models without any animation. Graphically speaking, the game world really does look like it. The game world resembles the world of Blacksad. Granted, graphically speaking, when you get it up close, it shows some issues such as texture quality on the walls, for example. But the lighting effects and the texture details on the files and money in the safe are nicely put in.
Looks like the burglar isn't interested in bureaucracy.
Did they take anything?
No, although...
And yeah, let's just enjoy Blacksad's voice acting a bit more. As you can see, this game takes a lot of influence from TellTale.
When you went in the hospital room to get your purse, did you get the gun as well?
Yes. Isn't it there? I put it back. I'd rather not go through that again.
So yeah, as you can see, the TellTale influence is pretty apparent.
That's too bad. It looks like they took it.
So every choice or every dialogue option you make will affect the story in some... Well, not all of them will affect the story completely, but characters will remember your previous interactions, and they will act according to your... They will react to you in a different manner as the story progresses. So if you're mean or accuse someone of lying without any evidence, they will remember that, and they might not try to help you later down the line. So if I'm nice to my client right now, she'll probably tell me something that I didn't know a couple of minutes. That I did know in a few moments later down the storyline. That's what I'm trying to say, basically. So yeah, as I was saying, Pendulo Studios is really trying to become the new TellTale Studios, and I think they're on the right track with some certain ideas, but there are some things I really didn't like about them, about these ideas mostly. The Blacksad really doesn't work in 3D. The controls are tanky, so you have to be pixel perfect if you want to position yourself into a specific... If you want to interact with something specific. As you can see, I have to... No! Come on. No, okay, I noticed that there's a thing on the rails, but I want to look at the picture. Yeah, you have to be... You it kind of turns into a pixel hunt on occasion with these tanking controls. So as you can see, I can interact with a purse, or I can interact with a railing. The story will not progress until I interact with both of them, but that's the problem. Unless the story dictates it, I'm not sure what. The game never tells you what's going to progress the story, and that's the problem. If you just want to explore the area to find collectibles or collect all the clues around the world, you just have to be careful and do a lot of saving if you're able to. This game only has automatic savings, so you can't save manually in order to go back and try to avoid the interactable object that's gonna move the story along. That's kind of frustrating. You want to explore the area to find all the clues or collectibles, and the game just because you picked one item too early or at the wrong time, the game will just tell you to get out of the area and move on with the next piece of the story. That's my problem with Telltale style games. They're not. They want to be an interactive movie or a TV series, and in my opinion, they present themselves as adventure-based games, but in reality, these are mostly visual novels with better animation and graphics. Well, better graphics is a loose term here, but they have more animation. That's a given. And that's something I really hate about Telltale in general. I'm not saying they are the ones who ruined the point-and-click genre, but they did popularize these new episodic and interactable adventure games where the level of puzzles is decreased and the number is decreased as well. And it's usually the bigger focus is on story and interactive QTE quick time events more than anything else. I mean, that can be pretty entertaining in its own right if you're playing this with friends or just want to create a narrative. If you want to create a narrative with a bigger audience, but if you're playing, Telltale did work on the latest Monkey Island games, and look how that went. They weren't well received. Seriously. Even the fourth game, The Escape from Monkey Island, was better received than the Tales of Monkey Island season. Yeah, I think it was whole. Yeah, there was a 5-episode season developed by Telltale, and they kind of butchered that. Not gonna lie. Anyway, since I played this chapter before, I know that I need to interact with these two items in order to do anything to progress the story. But first, I'm just going to show you some of the game's mechanics first and foremost. And the notebook, you can quickly check your notes about characters you've encountered, and mostly the characters you encountered and their involvement in their involvement in the story. And as you can see, there's quite a lot of them. So I'm just gonna go for the fan favorite. As you can see, this is weekly. But Blacksad, quote unquote, sidekick. He is a regular in the comics, and he does provide Blacksad with a lot of important information as he is an investigative journalist. So in the index, you can actually check your notes about specific characters, check their photos. And depending on the character and how much you interacted with him or learned about him, your notes will be complete or incomplete or just scratched out because they were wrong. It really does. It points out Blacksad's character as a whole. He is an investigator, so he will make notes about who the character is, what's their occupation, what's some personality quirks, or some of his assumptions about the characters. For example, if we take a look at this scratched out barely knows Yale she lies, we'll see that this was a wrong assumption and that she is related to a character named Yale. That's one of the things about the. That's a nice touch. The notebook basically gives you a full index about every character you met so far. But that's not the point here. What I'm more interested in is demonstrating the deduction screen here. As you can see, as you collect evidence and other pieces of information, you can combine those tidbits into one big conclusion. So let's try to combine all of this into one big conclusion. As you can see, I combined most of these two.
The fight between Stone and Yale.
I combined most of my deductions into most of my clues into one big deduction, and that gave us another clue that we can combine with already existing clues. For example, I just discovered that the fight between two boxers is rigged, for example, and that resolved two of my deductions. For example, well, not for example, it literally did half the number of deductions I can make. But to be fair, this is a narrative-driven game, but the narrative is more or less linear. So no matter who you accuse of or how you interact with other people, the outcome of the story will remain the same when it comes to the main villain and whatnot. And that's somewhat annoying. And if I do say so myself, the certain actions you can avoid certain situations by taking specific actions. For example, you can. Let me show you here.
Is this yours?
I think it belongs to the new cleaning lady. Mary just wasn't working out, so she left.
Clarice Freeman?
Yes. You think she did this?
So let's see. Yes, as you can see, this is a result of my previous actions. Because I made certain choices, the original cleaning lady that was supposed to be here left, basically quit her job, and they had to hire a new cleaning lady. So, I'll demonstrate what happened to her in a moment. But actually, let's demonstrate to you what happened to her immediately. So as you can see, when you try to when you find certain pieces of evidence, you will enter this black and white scenario where you only have audio cues. And that will progress the story a bit more. Sometimes it will automatically put you into a new cutscene, or it will try to give you a hint on where to go. So yeah, this is the result of my choices in the game so far. I saved one life, but another person lost theirs. But thankfully, we do have this gives us a good demonstration of another part of the gameplay mechanics, which is our detective senses. As you can see, we have ears, eyes, and nose, which, as the images probably suggest, indicate what our detective abilities are. Eyesight will be is observation. We can observe people as they're acting around us. and that's kind of limited with the animation. We can listen to some sound cues, or we can try to smell around the area to find something specific. And this is one of my bigger problems with the game, specifically because of the keyboard control scheme. Since I'm not allowed to use the mouse, I have to move this circle around in order to locate an interactable site of interest, or the source of smell, or the noise. And that can be pretty frustrating when you know what you need to hit, but you cannot get there because the game will jump over it, because you don't have any control over the sensitivity on the keyboard, on how you have to slightly press the keyboard ever so slightly in order to get small pixel by pixel movement in order to get towards the target.
It could be a knife wound. The murder was brutal.
So yeah, that's kind of annoying, not gonna lie. So yeah, as you're narrowing down towards the object of interest, the game will give you an arrow, and you can also zoom in closer to get a better look at certain parts of the character models or the area. And yeah, enjoyed the... I don't know, this is a serious scene where someone got killed, but... I think these animations are ridiculous. A floating knife and that run animation, this just looks... Oh my god. Oh, that's horrible. I know, it's a sad situation to... Story-wise, yeah, it's a bad situation to be in, but... Animation really fails on this one. It's not... The animation's terrible, not gonna lie. But the music and the voice acting kind of saves the situation. Anyway, as I said, due to my previous choices, this poor woman got killed. And if I made some other choices, the original person, the original cleaning lady would have probably been the dead one here. So yeah, depending on some of your choices, the game will try to adjust the situation to work with the narrative, but if the situation calls for a corpse, you will either have to choose between getting yourself killed or getting someone else killed. And when you get killed, the game will restart itself to that specific point, and you'll have to make the right choice, which is get someone else killed. So I'm not a big fan of this about this particular choice mechanic. TellTale does that as well, but at least they had some foresight to give you the illusion of choice. So, for example, if you had to choose between saving a person from imminent death and you do so, the said person would live for a couple of minutes and then they would get killed due to something else, but that's not something you can control. Maybe you get separated and they get swarmed by zombies or get shot in the back, or you after you went through literal hell to save that person. That's just an example here, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of this. How Pendulo Studios did this. They automatically kill you for trying to save someone, or they immediately, you're immediately punished for choices that deviate from the main story. That's kind of annoying in my book.
Just picture her saying, "Honey, I found a job. We're finally gonna make ends meet."
But yeah, voice acting wise, this game really is top notch when it comes to sound design and voice acting. I really love it.
Ah, damn.
And yeah, 2D pictures and 3D models in the game will look terrible, especially the character models and their animations. There are some good facial animations here and there, but yeah, you can see it for yourself. It's not the best 3D animation.
I want you to call the police, Sonia, and then go straight to a friend's house. Don't even think about going home, and definitely don't come back here.
I'm staying at a friend's house. I haven't even set foot in my father's place yet.
And yeah, as you can see, the lip syncing is also something to be
Good. Do you have the keys? If the murderer didn't find what he was looking for, that might be his next stop. If he hasn't been there yet.
It leaves a lot to be desired when it comes to lip syncing and 3D animations. I know 3D animation is, technically speaking, cheaper, but it's not always a good choice. As you just saw, there's plenty of 2D games and modern era 2D games that, for example, Daedalic Entertainment, whom you might know as the developers of Deponia. Those are 2D point-and-click adventure games, and they're still a great joy to play, even to these days, because they are modern compared to Monkey Island or
which
whatnot.
meant I wouldn't have to use my lockpick, sir.
Oh, lovely. We also have QTEs here. So that's something. So yeah, the game really wants to... It wants to emulate TellTale's style of gameplay, but it fails. The graphic style doesn't work, the control methods are terrible, and the only thing working for the game is the actual static visuals when nothing is moving. I mean, Blacksad, when Blacksad's just standing here, he kind of looks like this kind of looks decent, but I'd much rather play a game that's created in a 2D with 2D graphics and just has a regular point-and-click mechanics up to it. That's all I'm saying. It's a lot better than this. I have to be pixel perfect on and in a specific position to collect a card or interact with certain objects, and that's really annoying. As I said, the world itself, the level design is nicely done, all things considered. But yeah, there are no indicators as to what will progress the story as you explore the area, or if something will get you killed if you're just exploring or trying to save the world, trying to save someone or make a specific choice. The game really doesn't. I would recommend this game to anyone who isn't a fan of Blacksad or TellTale games in general. This is a hard pass. If Pendulo Studios ever does a sequel for this, I honestly hope that they go for a 2D art based game, 2D graphic point and click game, because this is unacceptable and insulting to the comic series. Blacksad looks hideous. I already mentioned it a couple of times, so I'm not gonna. I mean, I did repeat myself, but I'll try not to repeat myself too much. And yeah, I am impressed with the sound design and the voice acting, not gonna lie. The story is, as I mentioned, amazing. It's the only thing that's keeping me interested in playing this. And I really want to find out who committed the murder. Who's the murderer. I want to find out. And I do like the soundtrack when it's playing. And that's about it for me on this point. Guys, thank you very much for watching. My name has been Bedomy, and actually, no, I forgot there is something. It's a small feature, but I think it's a nice little addition. I'm not gonna lie. As you make choices in the game, the game will keep tabs on your choices, and it will present you with a statistics screen. It will not affect the gameplay or how the characters interact with you, or how Blacksad interacts with others. It's just a little score screen that says how other people, how you view, how exactly do you see Blacksad? Do you see him as a hard-boiled detective with a pragmatic personality, or a lonesome, I'm clumsy buffoon of some sort? It's little things, but it's nice that the game keeps track of this. So, but yeah, it doesn't affect the gameplay at all. It's just it's a nice little touch. Not gonna lie. So anyway, guys, that's it for me, at least for this week. Thank you very much for watching. My name has been Bedomy, and I'll see you next time. Good night.